Hey guys, what's up? I decided to make an analysis video um, based off of an RPG that I literally just beat just now, and I've been playing it for a long time though. Poured like over 120 hours in. Um, but this is an RPG that people kind of forgot about. Like you saw, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. There you go. It was made by a company that had the creative backings of a Todd McFarlane. You know, if you don't know who that is, that's the person that made Spawn. So that's the person that made the character models and stuff like that. This is an action RPG. You know, open world esque. Um, it's it has a story that has you play as a guy that got killed in the beginning of a war and is resurrected via the Wall of Souls, which is this project that is dedicated to trying to reanimate humans in the game. Um, so it works, and you end up coming back to life, but you have no recollection of who or what you were. So you're kind of just going along, um, trying to figure out what the hell is going on and why these things known as the Tuatha want you dead, like dead. Um, there's a couple different options you could choose to be in this game. You could choose to be an Alfar, which is basically a human. You could choose to be of the Fae, which are these kind of like mystical creatures. They're usually like, blue and have like, these elf looking ears. Um, oh, that's weird. Um, another quirky thing they did was they also had, the usual dwarves. I forgot exactly what they referred them to as, but you could have been a dwarf, any of those three, and from there you could decide to be a mage. You could decide to be kind of like a thief assassin kind of character, or you could decide to be a warrior, or which in the case of this game, um, you could decide to be all three. So you could have some powers of all three classes. Or you could just say, oh, I just want to be a mage thief, or I want to be a thief warrior. For me personally, I just went all warrior, but that's just a playstyle I like. You'll notice in the game when I show you in a little minute, you'll notice how the combat's very fluid compared to other action RPGs. So there's no there's no press turn icons where you have to wait a turn or anything like that. It's just full on action. So you go from place to place, killing enemies, and the enemies are actually pretty varied and cool in this game. Most of them you'll come across like these creepy looking sprite things with wings. You'll come across Mergen, which are these strange looking sea creatures. Um, yeah, it's kind of showing you the environments there. I don't know why it showed like a very small snippet of it. I want to see if it shows you the actual video. I'm going to keep talking. But if it doesn't show it, then I'm just going to start showing you actual gameplay of it. But with the job classes, because you can be between the three of them, that means there are also equipment that you could only use by dumping points into one of the three. So if you were somebody that decided, okay, I want to be all three, well, this equipment that you just picked up, it may be really strong and stuff, but if you don't have enough points and to be a warrior, let's say you needed 48 but you only had 30, then you can't use it no matter what. Also in this game, you'll have fate weavers, which are these people that could actually change your fate cards, obviously for money and stuff, but they could change your fate, being that you could reallocate your points to whatever you want in case you didn't like that, like what your mold ended up becoming or what it is. Um, Also in the story, which plays a big factor into the story, is because you were resurrected in the well, in the well itself. Um, it kind of plays into the fact that, well, everybody has a destined fate, and this is supposed to happen to this person, and this person's supposed to die here. Like, everybody has a set fate that they cannot, go around or, try to absolve themselves of. However, because you were brought back to life, and Alphar, humans are not meant to come back to life. Once we die, we die. We're not like the Fae, which when they die, they just end up resurrecting years later. But when we die, we die. So I was brought back to life, if a fate weaver, like in the story, you meet a fate weaver, pretty cool character. He ends up trying to read your fate and comes up upon the conclusion that he can't read your fate because you're no longer in the weave that they try to read on people. You're outside it, so like that's an anomaly to everybody. It's crazy. Let me see. Let me start showing you my file. Yeah, as you can see, I played this game way too long, but it's okay. 1 second. Okay. You'll have loading screens in between as well. It'll show you like little pictures like this. And it'll have like little hints at the bottom to help you win the game. The loading screens aren't that bad. Sometimes they're a little longer than you want it to be, like when you're trying to get from point A to point B, but they're not that bad. But yeah, like I said, they provide you with some hints. See, there's my guy right there. See, there's the red bar is your health, the blue bar is your magic meter, and you'll notice the purple one in the middle is actually your fate bar. Your fate bar, when that builds up and you use it in combat, you could, perform these crazy, fate attacks that can just wipe out, a whole, screen full of enemies. You'll notice you'll always have this mini map in the top right here, to kind of show you where you're going. Let me show you guys the menu before I start showing you the combat. Or let me look around a little bit first. See, there's my guy. My hands do look like they're on fire, but that's because of an ability I have. Oh, also those two things to the right there, that have like little skulls on them. Those are ailments that I've been afflicted of because I attempted to dispel a chest, because you could lockpick or dispel chests, and when you dispel chests and you do it incorrectly, sometimes it'll damage you, or other times it will curse you, and you need to go to a healer to get that fixed. Otherwise, it'll stay on you, and of course they're going to charge you money. Anyways, so there's my health. I'm 100% fate right now. My mana's that. There's the day and the time in the game. Top right has my overall defense. My character's name is Dagon. Underneath that is the Warlord. That's a class I am. You can see my level's 40. That's the max it goes. It won't go above it. So it stops at 40. So ignore how it shows 40 to 41. It stops at 40. It doesn't go any higher. And like I said, there's the money. My inventory limit, top left. I could currently hold 90 items. Be that swords, be that tonics, be that necklaces, like anything. So I could hold 90. I have 45 right now. So I've done a pretty good job of that. So let's look into inventory. So weapons, my primary weapon, since I'm like a fighting type of character, is my sword, the fervor. They'll have level requirements, as well as they'll tell you the speed of the equipment. And top right, next to the picture of the equipment, it'll say how strong it is. Top left will say how durable it is. So right now it's 39 out of 48. So keep in mind that you will need to go to the blacksmith to get it tuned up, or to fix it yourself when you get the equipment to do so, because if you don't, that 152 will start decreasing and your weapon can break. So you have to keep that in mind and take a look at that. So if you're using this weapon and you're fighting and you feel like, man, the fight's taking forever, and then you go to look at it and then it says like, I don't know, like 15 out of 48, well, that's why you need to repair it. Like I said, there's the average, the requirement level for you to hold it 16. It shows the physical damage, piercing damage, and how much health it adds to me, and then a little description of sword, massive for a one-hander, but superbly balanced and razor sharp. Fervor favors a fencer skilled with both point and edge. I also decided to use a greatsword, which I hold like that. That's my Arctic greatsword. This one has 139 physical damage, 33 piercing damage, 30 ice damage, 18 freezing damage over 6 seconds. Now keep in mind all these numbers under the requirement level all add up to that big number right there, 220. And for this, the big number right there, 152. You could also have secondary weapons. In this case, it's my hammer, the Fist of Krios. I have stun duration and chance to stun. Keep in mind that a bunch of items they'll have like different abilities to it, or not abilities, but effects. So some will have stun, some will have lightning damage, some will have ice, some will have fire, some will have poison. It varies. So the armor, for me, I have an armor set on, and armor sets are these sets that you could pick up, and if you get all 5 of the armor set, well, the only thing I don't have on that's the armor set is the head and the arms, but other than that, I have the armor set on. But for instance, if I had the whole set of the Egan set, I would have not only the +5 melee block and the damage versus demons, but I would also have the fire damage, elemental resistance, and bleeding resistance. But in order to get all of that, I need to have the entire set on me, and not just in my inventory. It has to be equipped. And of course, there's some additional stuff I have there. And each armor set is different. They offer different things. So of course, in this case, since I only have 3 pieces of that armor set, of the Vengeance armor set, I only get so much. Like, I get all of it except for ice damage, which is fine for me because my guy isn't a magic person. I also have my shield there, and you see, that's the requirement thing I was telling you about. Might 38, so my might level has to be 38 in order to use it. Now, yeah, might and finesse and sorcery. Now, I'm sure you've noticed by now that certain equipment, the text is colored differently. Like for this, it's like a yellow or a gold. So that means it's ultra rare, very rare. the purple is just under that, so it's pretty rare. And then under that, I believe is blue, which is rare, green, which is like normal, and then obviously the regular one is just white. And that goes for all accessories. So see, there's a white one. But I mostly have purple and blue stuff because, again, I'm at the end of the game. I pretty much got everything I wanted to get. But with the accessories, you could have a necklace that gives you certain boosts. Like for me, it's plus 30 damage, plus 8 chance to critical hit. Or I could put this on, plus 50 health, 1.5 health regain per sec, and plus 1 might ability. For rings, you could have 2 rings on at once. For me, I have the Peacemaker, and I have the Loop of Meditation. As you could see, I kind of built my guy to be like a dynamo, so he could, take a lot of punishment as well as dish it out. So then now you have consumables. So this is stuff you could use to heal you, like the Master Healing Potions, the mana stuff for your magic. I really don't use magic like that, but on occasion I do. But it's not just that stuff. You also have stuff like this, explosion that can attract the attention of surrounding enemies. Like if I was being like a sneaky character, I would probably want to use something like that. Shadow Prism, kind of the same thing, but this helps to distract some people so you could get away probably. And an unstable potion, which I made. Items, there you could do alchemy in this game. So if you get certain recipes, you could build or create like certain potions or tonics to help you in combat or to heal you. You have the components case, which you could use all these components that you get from around the world, chests, whatever. You could use these components to make your own weapons. It has an interesting idea to it. Like you see, some of them are masters, some of them are, actually a lot of them are master, but some of them are master, some of them are flawless material. It's different materials for different things, so you can make your own weapons and you can make your own armor. But anyways, it's an interesting idea, but to be honest with you, I went pretty much the whole game without making any equipment or anything like that for myself, and I fared just fine. But if that interests you, you could use that. It's probably most useful in the beginning of the game, if anything. The region bag, where you collect different flowers and spores from around the world that you could use to concoct into potions and stuff like that. There's a sagecraft pouch. Now you can go to the sagecraft bench, which is like this diamond looking thing. I'll show it to you guys in one of the areas, but you could go to that and you could create your own gem. And if your equipment allows for it, I don't know if I have any on me now, but if your equipment allows for it, you'll see, let me see, do I have any that could do that? No, I did, but got rid of it. If your equipment or weapons allow for it, some of them under all this stuff right here, it'll say empty, like an empty socket, so you could place that gem you just created in there, or if there's a gem that you've picked up, you could just put it in there. So the gems do a number of different things. Again, all the stuff that they give you in this game are used to help like buff your character up to deal with all the fighting you're gonna have to do. Let's see what else. See, there's one of the gems. Golden chalice, something you could sell for money. Excuse me. There's one of the other finished gems. As you can see, they do different things. Like that one's for health, that one's for mana, so on and so forth. Repair kits, like I said, your weapons do break down as well as your armor, so you're gonna have to use those repair kits or go to a blacksmith to repair that stuff. Whistle is one of the items you get in the game if you do a certain quest, where you could call enemies to you to fight them. Arathi glyph is something you get really late in the game that allows you to open certain things. Key ring for keys that you get in a game where you pickpocket somebody or you just find them in chest or what have you. Lock picks, I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. It's a lockpick. Wine, Prismere lockpicks are actually really good. There's not many of them in the game, but they're really good because they help you open any lock. So it doesn't matter what the difficulty of the lock is, you can open any lock. Let's see. And obviously you have the books and scrolls that people in quest lines may ask you for. Don't really worry about if you're trying to clear out, your inventory. Like I'm sure you've seen by now where you have the read, the compare option where you could compare stuff, and you have the add to junk option where you could add it to this junk area, and you have the options from here to destroy all or destroy one at a time or remove from the junk pile in case you put something there by mistake. Destroy all, keep in mind that means it's gone forever. It doesn't go on the ground, it's just completely gone. So make sure you're careful with what you put in here. And you have to select that function in order to clear your inventory, because just throwing it into the junk won't be enough. You have to actually click that. Let's see, what else? The quest lines. Yeah, the main quest area where, obviously all your main quests go. You have the factions, because you could join up to, I believe, 5 different factions across all of Amalur. And the factions offer different rewards and different boss fights and very different NPCs to talk to. They're all pretty fun, to be honest with you. The House of Ballads, for example, is a cool faction to join where the Fae are in trouble because there are certain people in the house or people outside the house that are trying to disrupt the ballads that happen. So everything has a set path. So if, like I said, if this guy's meant to die, he'll die in this ballad. And obviously ballad is another term for story. So the coming apocalypse, if you will, the coming war and stuff like that also has an effect on all these factions. So for this faction, it's disrupting the ballad. So people may be getting off that weren't supposed to get off, or people are surviving that weren't supposed to survive. Another case is the Warsworn. Warsworn are these, these kind of hulky, mercenary guys that you end up helping out, and they basically their job is to hunt down creatures and just kill them, whether it just be for money or to help, but usually for money. Another one before I move on is the Travelers. The Travelers is basically a thieves guild, and you do exactly what it implies. You steal from people, or they'll ask you to kill people, and you kind of realize that in that guild, because of the coming times and the more quests you go, you'll realize that what was I gonna say? You'll realize that the Hierophant, which is this thing that they all look up to, this entity that tells them what to steal and where to go, is not as trusting as they appeared to be. So there's factions like that and quests like that. Then you have side quests that you get from random NPCs where they could ask you to do just about anything, whether it goes to, alright, go to this cave and save my daughter because this giant creature is about to eat her, to, well, I just want you to travel the world and gather up a whole bunch of notes and bring them back to me. Or something like, oh, well, there is this I'm pretty sure there's something going on in this town, but I don't know what's going on. Every time I ask somebody about it, nobody seems to want to answer or has a good answer for it. So I need you to figure out what's going on at nighttime in this town. Stuff like that. Tasks are these quests that you'll get from certain NPCs. As you can see, there's tasks here that I have not completed, because tasks most times are these quests that are never ending. They just keep going, which is kind of annoying to me, because why would such a thing exist? I mean, I know it's for the purpose of maybe easy money or easy experience, but I feel like they're kind of a waste of time. If you can't complete them, then what's the point to me? Obviously, I've completed 200 and something quests. Usually this symbol has to do with the main storyline. So if you go to talk to somebody and they have this symbol when you see their text box, that means it pertains to the story. Let me see. This symbol means House of Sorrows. That's one of the factions. Let me show you some of the other symbols too. Let me see if I can get around to it. That's a Warsworn one. They all have their different banners. That's the Travelers. That's Scholia Arcana. That's let me see, where's the other one? Come on. Where is it? And then that's the House of Ballads one. Let's see what else. Alright, abilities. Sorry, there's just a lot to show you guys, so I'm sorry if this video is a little long-winded. So for me, since I chose to be the Might, here are my Might abilities. I have Hammer Mastery, Longsword, Brutal Weapons, which, you know, Mastery, which for the different weapons, in this case, for the hammers, I get to learn specific weapon attacks tailored to that. They also have a greatsword. They have concussive force. Like, these are all different, you know, things. Battle frenzy. Battle frenzy is the reason my hands are glowing. It stays. It's like a fixed ability. Stone skin, celerity, wrath, aftershock, quake. All these abilities. Harpoon. Skillful defense, all that stuff, all, you know, adds to my fighting ability. And as you can see, it says Might 121, so that's basically the highest it could get. So there's also the Finesse, where they have daggers, they have Fey Blades, they have bow and arrows, they have abilities like Shadow Flare, they have Assassin's Art that allows you to deal damage from stealth. They have Lunge, Icy Explosion, just, you know, a bunch of like hit and run moves that can get really powerful after a while. Then you have Sorcery, so you have Staff Mastery, you have Scepter Mastery, because there are staves and scepters that you could use in the game. They have Arcane Weaponry. So you'll add its height, which I could actually show you guys. At its height, you could learn some pretty sick moves one way or the other. Destinies. You could stay fateless, or you decide to go nowhere or the other. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend it, just because then you won't really experience the height of either of the three. You'll stay in the middle. So for me, I went to Brawler, which, as you can see, all of this is warrior based. So 15 melee attack, block efficiency, so on and so forth, and it keeps going up, you know, the more you get. So I could only go up to this next one when my might is 28. So when I spent enough points to make my might 28, then I can become a soldier, tier 3. So it goes all the way up to tier 6. For me, it's warlord. For somebody that wants to be a thief, they go to rogue. For somebody that wants to be a mage, they go to acolyte. So thief, it goes from scout to hunter, to ranger, to assassin, to nightblade. That's the ending of that. For sorcery, it goes to initiate, seer, sage, sorcerer, archmage. Now if you wanted a mix, like I said, it has different mixes based on your playstyle. And of course that means you'll get different bonuses for being certain mixes. I'm not going to lie to you, when I was kind of looking through the mixes, I really thought about being all 3. Because then you become a universalist, which would be kind of cool. So I'm going to show you guys some moves. So that's Upheaval. It's one of the moves I could do. That's Comet Strike. Phantom Edge. Horizon Edge. That's the pairing move that you could do for long swords. There's hammers, there's Minotaur Rush, which he's about to do right now. There's Spine Bender. I love that move. Crushing Blow, parry. Great Swords, there's moves like that. Whirlwind. There's Guillotine, Grave Digger, stuff like that. Dagger has its own stuff as well. So as you can see, there's really no bad choice when it comes to choosing what to be, because they all have their benefits. Each weapon has its own benefit as well. Then of course, Fake Blades. You can see the Fake Blades get kind of cool. Stabs, stuff like that. Oh yeah, and obviously the stabs and the scepters, they come with their own magic. So if you decided to just be a warrior like I was, but you still wanted to use magic and didn't want to dip the points into it, you would probably keep a stab or a scepter or two with you, just so you could still do magic. Okay, so there's all those. Then there's the chalk rums, which are pretty cool actually. I never really used them, but they always seemed kind of cool from a distance. And then there's the shields. I use the shields, the parry, the shield bash, all that stuff. Might abilities, Battle Frenzy, Harpoon, Assault, Warcry, Wrath. Oh yeah, if you're a finesse player, you're probably going to get used to using traps as well, since I wasn't one of those. That wasn't really my forte. Where's that one? Not that one. There was, yeah, that one. This one. This one kind of made me want to be a mage. I'm not even going to lie. Just the destruction. Alright, anyways. Then you have the status, so your skills. These are skills that you could put ability points in. You could only put in 1 point per level. So you could put points towards your alchemy, which will increase, the potions that you could craft. So the more you increase it, the more materials you can use. You could use blacksmithing, which I highly recommend that you do, so you could increase the effectiveness of your repair kits. But then you could also mastercraft equipment. Detect hidden, I highly recommend you do as well, because it allows you to see all lore stones. Lore stones are these stones you find throughout the game that tell you, a little backstory to some of the things that are going on. And it also displays all treasures on the mini map, and it also increases the amount of gold you get. So I highly recommend Detect Hidden. The spelling is kind of important too. I didn't really spend much in it, but the more you put into that, the more you could dispel easier. The dark sigils that you'll see when you're trying to dispel won't be as much of a problem as they were for me. Lock picking, I highly recommend that too, so you could bypass all locks. So being that when you go to a chest, you can click force open, or I forgot how it said, but something like that. You could click that, and it will just open it. It'll just open it. It'll just open it immediately. So it could be an easy lock, like a normal lock, a hard lock. It'll open it. Now, very hard, the highest it'll get it was 50%, but no higher. Mercantile, that obviously help you with selling stuff. Persuasion's very important too. So you could get certain options when talking to people, and maybe you could persuade them to give you an item, or you could persuade them not to fight you, or this, that, and the other. There's sagecraft, for the gems, and then there's stealth to help you with killing people. Twist of Fate, there are these cards that you get. Obviously that's the last card after you beat the game, and it's actually kind of cool because they give you even further bonuses as if you already didn't have enough. But you get cards for completing factions, or doing something very very important to the story, and they all have their different bonuses. There's the lore stones from the different places in the game. As you can see, I've gotten pretty much all of them, and if you wanted to, you could just play the audio in case you missed it or something. The effects, obviously my negative effects that I have on right now that I have to get rid of, and my positive effects, because I went to these different little like stone places that can give me some bonuses as well, like Mathara's Blessing. Stats, it's just overall stats of everything you've done in the game. I don't really have to go into big detail about that. It has in-game manual. You could see the map. You see how huge shit is, because this is like the first place you're in, Dalentarth. Then you go, there's also Aerithel. All of this is Aerithel. And then there's the tier. Then there's Clericon. And then Alabastra is the very last place in the game. As you can see with all these things, some of these are caves, some of these are cities, some of these are like the Children Keep. And most times, if it's that kind of place, like for Children Keep, it'll show you at the top left here that they have shops, they have training where you pay people to teach you, a skill. I don't really recommend it, never really did it, but you could get your stuff repaired there, and blacksmithing. Different cases for different places. So here you could only shop. And there are some major cities like Ys or Isa, where you can unbind gems, you can blacksmith, alchemy, shop, training. Bigger places like Rathir, where you could do some of everything. You could set waypoints, like you could see at the bottom. You could fast travel. You could click the local map just so you could see, what's around you currently. Obviously, all these red dots are the enemies, and the rest of it is just kind of a standard map. You could zoom in and zoom out. Let's see. You could obviously choose your difficulty: easy, normal, hard. I chose normal. Save, load game, or exit the game. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys just a little bit of gameplay. That means it's loading. I'm gonna show you guys just a little bit of stuff. I won't keep you guys too much longer. Let me switch over to weapon I wanted to use. See, and you could dodge. You could do all that stuff. Another one of the complaints I will tell you that happens sometimes in this game is sometimes the camera isn't always in your favor, and it will get in the way sometimes, or like you'll have times like that to where you could kind of like see through things, or if you're far away enough, it takes time for stuff to develop. Sometimes when you're talking to NPCs, the camera will like pan out away from you guys, and it'll like show like the wall or something while you guys are talking, or once in a while it'll have like glitches, like NPC's walking by and his head's missing, or you're trying to open this door and it's not working because the NPC hasn't caught up, stuff like that. Let me show you guys the fate attacks, and then I'll take you guys into a town, and I'll probably end it there. Okay, so this is a fate attack, basically, where you just get ultimate power until the gauge runs out. So now I'm going to show you. You could kill people pretty mercilessly, and they'll have a button for you to tap, and like it showed, if you get all the way around, you get 100%, experience. You could also interact with the world, like, jumping off places like this. You could swim. What else? Let me take you guys to one of the cities. I'll take you to Rathier. Might as well. So now you see a different picture now. So now I'm moving to a new area, and like I said, the loading times are a little iffy sometimes, but it's nothing crazy. Nothing you can't really get over. Also, when people, you won't see it now because I did all the quests, but when people have a quest available, they'll have a exclamation mark over their head, and you'll see it on the mini map and all. So let me see. Let me just get a random person to talk to. Yeah, so, and then they have, the different options you could talk to them about. You could talk to them about, usually they'll have stuff to talk about pertaining to where they live. So he's pretty much just going to talk to you about stuff here in Rathier. So there's a bunch of different areas you go to, and usually whenever you have the persuasion skill high enough, it'll show like a text in green, and it'll say the percentage that it'll work. On some people, it'll work very well. Some people, it won't work at all. There's been cases to where my chances of it working was 70-something%, and the persuasion failed. But it's nothing really to worry about. I would just, keep trying the options. The worst thing that could happen is they don't give you whatever special thing they were going to give you. It's not the end of the world. Let's see. Is there anything else? I think I summed it up pretty well. I mean, it was a fun game. It was kind of long at times, and mostly because I wanted to do all the quests, just because I'm that guy. But and there are a lot of quests that can get you sidetracked. Not truly sidetracked from the goal of the game, but sidetracked in the way of it will take you a while until you actually get around to, playing the main story. What I recommend after playing the game is complete before you start taking quests, just scope the whole area, like run all over here, like, check out all the landmarks, and it'll say, oh, discovery made. When you find a new area, you get experience for that. But just make sure you have all the landmarks checked off. So, like, let's say you discovered all these places, but you haven't gone in them yet. Discover all of them, go in them, and fetch quests from every single person you possibly can in all the different places. Once you do that, then you just start, doing one at a time. That's kind of what I did. So I did that a lot in here, Dalentarth. What you'll definitely notice is the bigger areas in the game is easily Dalentarth and Plains of Aerithel. Those are the biggest areas in the game, so it'll take a while to do all the quests if that's what you're trying to do. The tier isn't that big, slightly big. Cluricon isn't that big either, and Alabastra's pretty small for the end of the game. I think that's it. Well, guys, this was Kingdoms of Amalur. Thank you guys for watching. I know it was kind of a long analysis video, but there's really a lot to talk about in this game, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace out.